WLWT News 5, leading the way with breaking news.
And that breaking news tonight, shots fired at a Trump rally. Former President Donald Trump is safe. That's the message from the Secret Service after his Pennsylvania campaign stop turns to chaos. You saw some of it right there, and thanks for joining us here at 11 o'clock. I'm Mike Dardis.
And good evening to you. I'm Cherie Palillo. The video captures the moment someone opened fire in the middle of his speech in Butler County, Pennsylvania. So take a look at what happened.
Take a look at what happened.
Move to spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you.
Ready?
Move.
Up.
Move. Go.
Up.
Some chilling moments there in western Pennsylvania earlier tonight. We know former President Trump was grazed by a bullet in the ear. One person attending the rally was killed, two others critically hurt. The gunman, by the way, killed by authorities.
So we are leading the way with team coverage, live team coverage for you tonight. Curtis Fuller and Lindsey Stone both talking with local lawmakers this evening. Daisy Kershaw caught up with the Ohio GOP chairman, who's actually in Milwaukee getting ready for the Republican National Convention.
Yeah, but we begin with former President Donald Trump and what he had to say after the shooting.
So he spoke out on Truth Social tonight saying, quote, here it is, I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of the law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. He also extended his condolences to the families of those victims. The former president also addressing the blood many of us all saw on him as he was escorted off the stage by the Secret Service. He goes on to say that I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong in that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through my skin. Again, besides former President Trump being injured tonight, one person at that rally sadly was killed. Two others in the crowd are critically injured.
We also know that the shooter is dead, and WLWT News 5 correspondent Christopher Salas in Milwaukee tonight, where that RNC begins on Monday, and he joins us with the very latest on the investigation.
Tonight, former President Donald Trump says he is fine after being shot at a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. It was a chaotic scene following what investigators are calling an assassination attempt on the former president's life, and it was all caught on camera. We do want to warn you that this video may be disturbing to some.
Take a look at what happened.
Several shots rang out, and the former president was immediately tackled by Secret Service agents. Those shots continued before the agents lifted Trump up, and Trump defiantly raised his fist in the air with a bloodied face. He was rushed off the stage by those agents to be evaluated at the hospital. Again, his campaign says he is fine. In a statement, the former president says, quote, I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. The former president added that nothing is known about the gunman at this time. Police shot and killed that person. They also found an AR-style rifle at the scene. Meanwhile, another rally goer was killed, and the Butler County District Attorney said that another attendee was also shot. They were taken to a local hospital, and they are in serious condition. Again, the FBI and Secret Service are investigating this shooting as an assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump's life. Here in Milwaukee, host to the Republican National Convention, you can already see that security is beefing up, and it's unclear how this shooting on the former president is going to impact the convention schedule or security here in Milwaukee. Reporting in Milwaukee, I'm Christopher Salas. Now back to you.
Now, about 2 hours after the shooting, President Biden addressed the nation.
He said he's grateful to hear Donald Trump is safe and doing well. Also talked about political violence in America.
Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have been engaged in making sure that the people and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to get, if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it. Everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I am able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. But so far, it appears he's doing well, number one. Number two, that they're thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in the federal government, I'm going back to my phone to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give me an updated briefing. Has anything happened? They learned any more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much.
President Biden was asked if he thought that was an assassination attempt tonight. He says he did not know enough about it to have an opinion.
Well,